Hey guys, tonight we're going to a very sleepy little moon, not one of the famous ones with volcanoes or oceans or catastrophic civil wars. No, this one barely registers on the star charts. It's so quiet, in fact, that some explorers only noticed it because their ship's lullaby generator overloaded as they passed by. The moon, it listens, collects and stores. Not weapons, not secrets, just lullabies, songs people sang to each other before bed, across thousands of civilizations. Some are silly, some ancient, and some are just frequencies meant to slow down your pulse until you forget what you were anxious about. It's called Cressida Vibe, but the locals call it the Moon of Forgotten Lullabies. And yes, if you're wondering, it orbits a spectacular gas giant with lavender rings and far too many moons to name. The kind of place that makes you forget you are supposed to have meetings or deadlines. A place where you'll drift, not hustle. So, before you get comfortable, take a moment to like the video and subscribe, but only if you genuinely enjoy what I do here. And hey, if you're listening from somewhere unusual, drop your location and local time in the comments. I love seeing where you're drifting off from. Now dim the lights, maybe turn on a fan for that soft background hum, and let's ease into tonight's journey together. You don't remember falling asleep on the shuttle, you just remember waking up to a muffled chime and seeing the moon through a tiny oval window, pale as bone. With clouds of rose-colored vapor trailing off into space, no landing pads, no signage, no customs check, just silver dunes and something like singing wind brushing past the hull. You step off the ramp, and the ground underfoot feels gentle, not soft, exactly, but not firm either. Like walking across woven threads of memory. The sky above is muted and strange, with the gas giant dominating half of it like a silent guardian. Not far from where you land, a cluster of humming spires emerges from the landscape, made not of metal or stone, but something halfway between coral and glass. They bend subtly in the breeze, and as they do, you can hear tones shift in the air, a soft chord here, a high-pitched hum there. It's not music you recognize, but it is music, somehow. The moon has no real cities, just small outposts and acoustic observatories shaped like petals, scattered across the dunes like forgotten tea sets. Your host, a being of indeterminate shape wrapped in folds of metallic cloth, meets you with a bow. They don't speak, not with words, but you sense a gentle invitation. You're here to explore, they seem to say. Not to disturb, just to listen. As you follow them, you notice small, floating orbs drifting in the breeze. They glow faintly and emit lullabies so quiet you can't quite catch the tune. Some of them sing in languages no one speaks anymore. Others seem to hum directly into your bones, comforting. Oddly familiar vibrations. Scientists call this place the most emotionally stable moon in the quadrant. Rumor has it that if you cry here, the air itself will sing back to you in harmony. A few overly poetic researchers claim the dunes themselves exhale during sleep hours. That's unconfirmed, but plausible. The entire landscape feels curated for rest. Even the colors seem to avoid confrontation: powder blues, sleepy lavenders, the occasional drowsy gold. As you move deeper toward the moon's heart, you pass what looks like a cracked statue of a reclining star whale, though it turns out to be a natural formation. Still, someone has carved musical glyphs into its side spirals, double arcs, a few notations that suggest pitch and breath control. You touch one and feel your heart rate slow, just a little. Here's a curious fact: the moon didn't always collect lullabies. That started only a few thousand years ago, when a passing civilization accidentally left a sleep drone behind after a crash landing. The drone began broadcasting its comfort protocols, and the moon somehow responded. It built its first acoustic vaults from that signal, as if deciding it liked the company. No one knows why. Some say the moon is alive, others believe it's just sympathetic to tired things. As night approaches, not that the lighting changes much, you reach the outer rim of what your guide calls the lullaby archive. It looks like a collapsed cathedral made from quartz and memory foam. Long stone arches stretch into the dunes, vanishing under silken sands. Small lanterns pulse along the path, casting halos of warmth in the cool moonlight. You hesitate before entering, not out of fear, but because everything here feels reverent, sacred, not religious exactly, but restful in a way religion sometimes dreams of being. Inside, the temperature drops slightly, and the sounds become softer whispers over a still lake. Your footfalls make no echo, and the air is filled with the faintest scent of chamomile and old wood. It's possible that your guide is singing, but only in frequencies your ears barely catch. You're told through gesture and tone that the vault has no security systems. It doesn't need them. No one would steal a lullaby, not here, and even if they tried, the song would forget itself out of politeness. Scientists still debate how the archive maintains its collection. Some argue for ancient sonic algorithms encoded in mineral lattices. Others claim it's quantum lullaby entanglement, a comforting tune on one side of the galaxy calming someone halfway across. The theory hasn't been tested, mostly because volunteers keep falling asleep mid-experiment, and then you hear it, the first true lullaby floating down from a passage ahead. It's a tune in no language, but it hums of peace, of long naps beneath warm suns, of a baby breathing slow and steady in some species' universal cradle. You breathe in, and something in your chest unclenches. You've only just begun. The passage ahead narrows into a hallway that feels more like a windpipe than architecture, tall and arched, made of some translucent mineral that hums softly as you walk. You press a hand against the wall, and it vibrates slightly beneath your palm, like the throat of something vast and dreaming. Light pools here in slow ripples, the kind of glow you'd expect from phosphorescent sea creatures, not dry stone. The silent custodians, tall, cloaked beings who seem more echo than flesh, float beside you now. You didn't see them enter, but here they are, as if summoned by your presence. Their heads are draped in crystalline veils that shimmer with micro chords of light. One tilts their head toward you, and you realize the veil itself is playing something, a lullaby so delicate it might dissolve if you listen too hard. You proceed. Each chamber you pass through is tuned to a different emotional frequency. You don't know how you know that, but you do instinctively. The first room is sorrow, not devastation or despair, just soft, lingering sorrow, like the kind that clings to the end of a song. The lullabies here are slow, full of pauses, minor chords that ache just a little too long. Some come from extinct cultures, whose songs are now sung only by the moon. The next chamber is joy, not loud, clanging celebration, just quiet, full-bellied laughter that bounces around like soft marbles on a quilt. The lullabies here are lullabies of play, the kind you'd sing after a day well spent. Muscles tired, heart full. One is just a string of syllables that make no sense and yet feel like a hug, Another has a rhythm similar to a human heartbeat, except it's clearly in 3/4 time. You linger longer in that room than you mean to, your guide still silent, still singing in frequencies you can only feel, leads you forward again, into deeper halls. You wonder how many levels this archive has, 100, 1,000. Could one wander it forever, lulled by forgotten melodies until time just gives up? In one hallway, you find a shelf, not for books, but for objects. Each one rests on a soft square of stardust woven cloth, and each holds a song: a clay whistle shaped like a sleeping lizard, a glass vial with air from a child's first bedtime, a petrified leaf etched with a lullaby from a planet with no mouths, just hands. Here's a question scientists still ask: why lullabies? Why not dreams or stories or memories? Why does this moon collect songs specifically designed to ease consciousness out of itself? One theory suggests that lullabies are one of the oldest shared rituals in the galaxy. Even the most warlike species sing to their young. Maybe the moon understood that. Or maybe, as one researcher once wrote, the moon doesn't collect lullabies, the lullabies collect the moon. You smile at that, partly because it sounds ridiculous and partly because it might be true. The air grows cooler. Somewhere behind the walls, a slow, rhythmic vibration pulses in and out, like the exhale of something enormous. Maybe it's the moon, maybe it's just the wind between layers of resonant stone, but you match your breath to it, and soon you feel your thoughts slow to its tempo. You enter a chamber that isn't a chamber at all, but rather a garden, not one with plants or soil, but with sound. Floating tones, like pollen made of song, drift lazily from silver stems embedded in the floor. As you walk through, they shift, changing keys, changing species. You're in someone's memory of comfort, someone else's moment of safety. A lullaby written for a robotic child who didn't need sleep, but liked the idea of it. A lullaby from a world where gravity sang counter melodies through the trees. A lullaby composed entirely of the smell of warm mineral baths. You start to feel them blow together, not the songs, but your memories, your own bedtime rituals, whatever they were, rise up like bubbles in warm water, a worn blanket, a whispered joke, a dim night light shaped like a crescent moon. You think about the times you couldn't sleep, and the voices that tried to help you anyway. Not all the lullabies here worked. That's part of their charm. Some are clumsy, off-key, lovingly out of tune. But they tried, they cared enough to try. The custodians guide you to a central plinth, where a large orb pulses like a sleeping starfish. Inside, you can see light patterns that resemble neuronal firings, dreams in the shape of music. This is the core vault. It stores the rarest lullabies, not valuable in any economic sense, but rare in that there were only ever some once. A whisper before death, a tune hummed into a storm, a goodbye you never realized was a lullaby until much later. Your guide gestures. You may place one here if you like. You hesitate. You're not a composer, but maybe you don't have to be. You hum something small. A melody that's been looping in your head since childhood. No lyrics, just a rise and fall, slow and simple. You hum it once, the orb ripples, accepts it, files it away among the galaxy's forgotten songs. You feel lighter, not in a dramatic, float into the sky kind of way, just a little more untangled. The custodian nods. Your song is part of the moon now. There's a saying among the researchers: every lullaby has two listeners, the one it sings to, and the one who stores it. Maybe that's true. Maybe Right now, some distant wanderer is drifting off beneath a star you'll never see. Held gently by the song you just offered, and maybe, just maybe, you've been hearing someone else this whole time. You continue deeper into the moon's slow heart. The halls here take on a different hue, deeper shades of pearl and indigo, as though dipped in the last moments of twilight. The resonance in the walls softens into something warm and porous, like suede for the ears. Everything is slower here. You walk slower, think slower, even your blinking feels like it's stretching out into dream length. This is the archive of unfinished lullabies, a chamber of echoes without endings. It holds songs that were started but never completed, half-remembered verses. Melodies that trail off mid-phrase, lullabies interrupted by sleep, or silence, or life. Each one floats in a glass teardrop suspended from the ceiling by fine lunar thread. They spin slowly, chiming against one another with the gentlest dissonance, like memories brushing shoulders in a crowded room. One teardrop emits the first 4 notes of a lullaby from a gas giant species who communicate only in harmonic vibrations. The last note is missing, unresolved attention that lingers like a held breath. Another holds a child's voice repeating the same line over and over, and the stars will watch you. Then it cuts. No explanation. You wonder if you're supposed to feel sad, but you don't, not exactly. There's something sweet about the imperfection, something human, even if none of these songs are. These lullabies were interrupted by life, by sleep, by joy, by fear. Some were interrupted by nothing at all, just the quiet decision to let them stay unfinished. You notice something strange. These fragments are more magnetic than the complete lullabies you passed earlier. There's a pull to them. Scientists have suggested that it's the human brain's compulsion to complete patterns, or maybe it's something deeper, the same type that makes you lean in when someone starts to whisper. The custodian beside you hums a few notes, and one of the teardrops descends slowly toward you. It's glowing faintly, as if recognizing your presence. You reach out. The glass is warm. Inside is a fragment in your own language, a lullaby you've never heard before, and yet somehow you have. It starts with words that feel like a memory from someone else's dream. When the winds forget your name, I'll still hum. Then silence. You look at the custodian. They tilt their head. You understand. You're invited to finish it. You close your eyes and imagine what the next line could be. Something simple. You whisper it, not out loud but in your mind. The glass flickers, accepts it, completes the loop. A tiny shimmer falls like confetti. Somewhere in the archive, a soft chime rings out. One fragment, now whole. You've contributed again. That's twice now. You're becoming part of this place in ways you hadn't expected. Not just an observer, a co-dreamer. The next chamber is dedicated to lullabies created by species who don't sleep, or rather, didn't until they heard sleep songs from other worlds. One of the great discoveries in immersive psychology was that the concept of rest could be transmitted through music. That even if you didn't evolve with circadian rhythms, a well-placed lullaby could simulate the same neurological effect. You stand before a sculpture made of pulsing brass coils and humming chords. It doesn't make sound, it makes rhythm, slow, deliberate pulses that trigger a cascade of calm in your nervous system. Like being rocked, without motion, like being sung to, without melody. There's a plaque, yes, even here, that reads sleep is not a function, it is a gift. You want to snort, but you don't, because maybe it's right. Nearby, you see a hollowed-out pod made of living bark. Inside, a being made entirely of cloud stuff is curled up, its vapor body gently pulsing with the frequency of the surrounding music. It isn't asleep, exactly, but it isn't awake either. It's receptive, dreaming someone else's dreams, and you begin to ask yourself what happens to all these lullabies when no one listens. Do they fade? Do they wait? Do they play on loop in this lunar vault until someone finally arrives to complete them? The custodian turns toward a narrow passage, and for a moment, you hesitate. You've begun to feel safe here, strangely. There's comfort in unfinished lullabies. They ask nothing of you, but your feet follow anyway. The passage leads to a dim chamber filled with small, floating cubes, each one about the size of your hand, translucent and softly glowing. They're tagged with a simple designation recovered from drift. These are lullabies that escaped. They drifted away from their origin planets and wandered the galaxy, encoded in space debris, derelict ships, even old beacons. They've been caught in gravitational nets, translated by alien poets, and archived here by the vault's wanderers. Some arrived without metadata, just sound, just feeling. You lift one cube and it projects a haunting tone, a lullaby carried by a ghost ship that once circled the ice rings of Gleesemansa 830 Twerk. No words, just low, brushing frequencies that mimic the sound of solar winds against frozen hulls. You could listen forever. You put it back. One cube flickers strangely, its melody is scrambled, corrupted by time and radiation. The custodian nods toward it, as if to say not everything survives unscared, but even that has its place, because here on this moon, even broken lullabies are treasured, even the half-songs, the corrupted files, the unfinished dreams, they all get a place, a pod, a slot, a shimmer of dignity, and that, you think, is strangely beautiful. You breathe in, slower than before, you're calibrating. This isn't just a museum, it's a habitat, and part of you wonders what it would feel like to stay. You follow the custodian through a long, curved corridor lit by embedded star crystals that dim and glow in a rhythm that resembles breathing. The air smells faintly of ozone and old parchment, like a library that's forgotten it's in space. The custodian walks ahead at a deliberate pace, never in a rush, but never waiting either. Time on this moon seems to obey different laws, or maybe it just doesn't care much about yours. You arrive at a threshold made of woven metals, brass, copper, silver, all braided into a vast latticework arch. It shimmers faintly with coded symbols. A melodic chime sounds as you step through, and the room on the other side opens up into a wide, echoing amphitheater. Welcome to the echoing room. It's where lullabies that evolved in communal species are stored, not as melodies, but as call and response rituals. Species that sleep in huddles, nests, underwater spirals, hive hollows. Their lullabies aren't about one voice soothing another, they're about everyone soothing each other. The chamber is filled with tiered seats, each lined with strange instruments, crystalline bowls, finger harps, gourd flutes, throat drums, and seated across them are holographic echoes of sleepers, each locked in a looping gesture of comfort. A clawed hand stroking feathers, a bioluminescent tendril wrapping gently around a shell, a creature that looks like a moss-covered sloth nuzzling against three identical companions. They don't move, they remember. In the center of the room, a song begins. It doesn't start with music, it starts with a pulse, a gentle, repeating frequency emitted from a dish of black glass in the center of the floor. You feel it more than hear it. Your bones answer first. Then the voices begin to echo, dozens at first, then hundreds, harmonizing, overlapping, weaving through one another like mist. The voices are in languages you don't know, but the rhythms are familiar. It's the universal cadence of a group exhaling together. It's sleep, not a solitude, but a surrender, shared, safe, held. A custodian sits beside you and places a small orb into your hand. It vibrates softly, listening with your pulse. On contact, it plays a lullaby that responds to your unique biometrics. Scientists once tried to record these lullabies for study, but the playback never worked. It's not the sound, it's the interface. The lullaby must know you to be heard, and as yours begins, you hear yourself, not your voice exactly, but something shaped around your neural imprint. The music is familiar, like your own breath. A lullaby you never learned but always needed. It hums something about a quiet star field, about drifting without fear, about the certainty that someone remembers your name even in sleep. You suddenly feel very small, not in a bad way, just scaled. The custodian watches you with soft, metallic eyes. Maybe they've seen thousands of sleepers here. Maybe they've listened to millions of lullabies, and still, they show no signs of boredom. You ask because you have to. Why the moon does all this? Why collect lullabies? The custodian gestures to a small plaque near the door. It reads, "Lullabies are the fossils of comfort." You smile, because that sounds like something a slightly drunk poet would write, but it sticks. The next hallway is darker. Only bioluminescence panels light the way, and the ceiling narrows into a rounded arc. The architecture shifts, less museum now, more cathedral. There's a reverence in the air, a hush so complete. You worry your own thoughts might be too loud. You step into a chamber called the Room of Eternal Sleepers. It contains no music, no holograms, just floating pods. Each one holds a sleeper who never woke. Not in a tragic way, more like a choice. Some species, when nearing the end of their life cycle, opt for a final sleep in the dream vault, a place where their last thoughts, usually lullabies of their own making, are recorded, preserved, and looped gently forever. You walk among the pods slowly, reading the names. Some are just numbers, some are sigils that burn slightly in your vision. One is a name in your own tongue, though you don't recognize it. You feel something when you pass that one. Not fear, not even sorrow, just a weightless hush. Scientists still debate whether these dream loops have measurable cognitive energy, whether these beings are still in some sense alive, if not in mind, then in memory. You reach the last pod. It's empty. A custodian stands beside it and says nothing, but something in their posture suggests it is being held, not unused, reserved, and a question drifts gently into your mind like dust. Is it for you? You're not dying, not that you know of, but the vault doesn't only serve endings. It serves transitions, thresholds, sleeps that aren't sleep, changes you don't notice until you're already through them. You back away gently. Some lullabies, you realize, aren't meant to be sung out loud. They're places, rooms, memories made spatial. Some only open when you've forgotten how to ask. You pass a mirror-like wall on your way out, and in it you see yourself, but slightly drifted, as if you've already started to unravel just enough to be recorded. You blink, your reflection catches up, and the corridor widens once again, leading to a new space, one that smells faintly of metal ink and blooming coral. The dream library awaits. The corridor opens into a spiraling chamber lined with shelves not of books, but of thin, translucent panels that float softly in the air. Each one shimmers like a dragonfly wing, catching the faint light in shifting colors. This is the dream library, a place unlike anything you've seen before. There are no librarians, no signs, and no dust, only a vast, slow swirl of lullabies made visible. You walk carefully into the spiral, instinctively quieter, though no one asks you to be. The panels float at varying heights, some at eye level, others near the ceiling. A few brushing against the soft floor like autumn leaves. Each one holds a lullaby captured not as sound, but as experience compressed, encrypted, gently suspended. You reach for the nearest one. As your fingers approach, the panel hums, not in warning, but in recognition. A cascade of sensation spills into you, not overpowering, more like stepping into warm rain. The lullaby reveals a memory, the quiet descent of a jellyfish-like being into deep ocean sleep beneath an ice-covered moon. It dreams of phosphorescent clouds, of sibling floats drifting nearby, of pressure and silence and glowing currents that pulse like music. You feel the creature's come, its trust in the water, the sense that nothing above matters when you're this deep. You release the panel and exhale without realizing you'd been holding your breath. A few steps farther, another panel finds you. This one offers the scent of scorched cinnamon and the sight of 3 suns setting behind a glass mountain. It's from a planet where lullabies are sung as scent trails, perfume-shaped songs shared between kin before hibernation. You taste the memory of a lullaby meant to last through a decade of stasis. Each panel is specific, alien, exquisite. You don't understand most of what you see or feel, and that's what makes it beautiful. These aren't lullabies for you, they are lullabies that existed whether you visited or not. You're just passing through their dreams. The spiral continues deeper. Along one curve, you find a series labeled in a language your brain doesn't quite recognize, but somehow still passes as forgotten lullabies. They don't activate at your touch. They don't hum or shimmer. They simply wait. A custodian appears beside you, emerging silently from behind a shelf. They tilt their head slightly and explain in your thoughts rather than your ears that these are lullabies no longer understood. Their species are extinct, their listeners lost. Their cadences untranslatable, and yet, they are preserved, not for study, not for recreation, but for remembrance. Like fossils in amber, you ask the custodian why they keep them. Wouldn't it make sense to repurpose the space, digitize them, translate? The custodian smiles at least. You think that's what it is and offers this. Not all sleep needs witnesses. Some just need space. You sit for a moment on a small, hovering bench made of woven glass. It conforms gently to your shape. The atmosphere is thicker here, like breathable velvet. You feel yourself slowing again, your heart listening to the spiral's curve, and as you sit, you realize something strange. The lullabies aren't just around you, they are shaping the air, guiding your path, creating an emotional map that draws you inward. It's less a library and more a migration. A ritual. Each visitor moves differently, drawn to panels that resonate with their current sleep state. Yours is apparently transitional, but stable, with hints of wistful curiosity. That last part is definitely accurate. You pass a panel that briefly flickers a memory of yourself as a child, staring up at stars through a foggy window, humming tunelessly into the night. You never knew if it was a song, But here, in the dream library, it becomes one, and you wonder how much of what we hum when we're tired is actually ours. How many lullabies are borrowed echoes from worlds we've never seen? Scientists once tried to catalog the dream library, of course. They assigned teams of linguists, neurologists, even air songwriters to extract patterns, but every time they tried to record or export the content, the panels would go quiet, not maliciously, just unavailable. It's not that the lullabies are secret, they're just shy. Eventually, researchers decided to let the dream library exist as it was, a place for those ready to listen, not analyze. You reach the spiral's center, where a dome-shaped alcove houses a single massive panel. It's almost opaque, swirling with thousands of dream threads. The Grand Lullaby, it's called. No one knows its origin. Some think it's the first lullaby ever sung on this mood. Others believe it's a convergence, a blend of every lullaby that's ever passed through the vault. You don't touch it, you just sit, and the panel begins to glow, not brightly, but enough that your shadow stretches across the curved floor. A sound emerges like wind across a frozen sea, like a sigh spoken backward. You can't identify the melody, but it feels personal. Like a song shaped by every night you've ever fallen asleep wondering if the stars remember you. Your eyelids grow heavy. You're not going to sleep, not yet, but you've crossed into that liminal state, the place where thoughts drift into narrative, where memory and imagination blur. The place lullabies aim for. The custodian appears again, this time holding something, a folded parchment, sealed with a symbol that looks suspiciously like your own heartbeat. They hand it to you, and say, simply, keep it closed until the final chamber. Then they vanish again. Of course they do, and now it's time to move on. You rise, slower than before, and follow the spiral's upward curve. It's brighter here, the air tastes of snow and cinnamon again, and the door ahead shimmers with golden moss. A sign above it reads Hall of One Species Souls. You pass beneath the moss-lined archway and into a room that feels warmer, not in temperature necessarily, but in tone. It's like walking into a memory you didn't know you had. The light here is tinted a soft coral pink, and the walls are inscribed with tiny, careful glyphs etched by hand, not printed or projected. You've arrived at the Hall of One Species Souls. This chamber, unlike the dream library, is organized more like a museum. Each display contains a single lullaby, preserved and played only as it was originally performed. No translations, no harmonizations, no collaborative medleys. Here, the focus is intimacy, specificity, sonic fingerprints passed down through generations. You approach the first station. A pedestal, carved from driftwood petrified by centuries in alien seas, holds a shallow bowl filled with a shimmering, silvery liquid. As you look into it, a low, pulsing hum begins to fill the space around you. It's almost rhythmic, but not quite music. Then, from deep within the sound, a tone rises, pure, crystalline, and utterly non-human. This is the lullaby of the Varelian reef folk, who live in coral towers that grow in vacuum pockets nestled inside dormant asteroids. Their young sleep in floating sacs suspended in nutrient-rich gel, rocked to sleep by magnetic pulses and harmonics sung by their elders through the bone reef walls. The lullaby's pitch changes depending on the mineral content of the surrounding rock. Here in the vault, the lullaby plays as it once was sung, encoded in subsonic tremors and phosphorescence pulses. The room's surface panels react, glowing in tandem with the low rumbles. You can feel the notes more than you hear them, vibrating in your ribcage like the purr of a thoughtful starship. You move on. The next lullaby is sung in bursts of heat and scent. This is from the Nazca methane-breathing culture, whose only spoken language was thermochemical. Their lullabies were releases of temperature gradients, timed vapor clouds laced with sleep-inducing aromatics. Designed to lull their young into hibernation during windstorms that could last centuries, a gentle vent near the floor emits a sequence of warm and cool puffs, laced with something like the smell of toasted almonds and rusted copper. Your eyes water slightly. It's oddly comforting. You chuckle quietly. If your allergies acted up from every alien sleep song, this would be a long tour. A station to the left plays a lullaby made entirely of reflected light. No sound at all, just a flickering pattern of mirrored crystals catching the ambient glow of the chamber. The beings who sang this song had no ears, no mouths, just bioluminescent skin that recorded and reflected rhythm through light, passed parent to child in gentle flashes. This one, according to the accompanying inscription, hasn't been played for over 400 years. Its native species, the calethri, vanished into a collapsed moon system during a galactic ice drift. The vault replays their lullaby on the anniversary of their disappearance, a kind of sonic remembrance encoded in photons. You watch the pattern reflect across your eyes. In another alcove, a strange set of fossilized bells rings quietly on its own. This lullaby belongs to a species of sentient lichen, who grew in massive fungal webs and communicated by growing rhythmic spores that pinged against each other. Their young weren't individuals in the traditional sense, just new branches of the web, but they still needed calming. Especially during solar flare season, their lullaby sounds like a wind chime at the bottom of the sea, and so it continues. One species, one sound, one way of saying, "You are safe, you may rest." It's easy to forget how many ways there are to express that message. Your steps slow, the space itself seems to encourage lingering. Nothing rushes you here. In fact, if you pause too long, the ambient soundscape gently dims, as if to suggest, why not stay a while longer? One station features a human lullaby. It's odd seeing it here, tucked between the multi-layered vibrational chants of the Golomak, who only sing while underwater and upside down, and a lullaby recorded from the final breath of a collapsing our religion on Sirius Theta. But it's here, a simple melody, soft strings, a human voice, imperfect and warm, humming the familiar tune of Free Shock, though slightly distorted by time and transmission. You feel a pang, not homesickness, exactly, just recognition, a quiet reminder that Earth songs echo farther than expected. A placard notes that this lullaby was placed in the vault after it was found encoded in a malfunctioning probe drifting near the Andromeda Fold. No one knows who uploaded it, or why it was humming it on loop. You smile. Some part of you is probably still humming it too. Further into the hall, you notice a lullaby that is actively evolving, a rare living sample. It's a seed organism placed inside a sealed habitat, transparent and glowing, singing a slowly changing pattern of tones. Each day, it grows a new note based on the ambient emotions in the chamber. Today, its song is slow, gentle, comforting, because you are calm, and it sings that calmness back to you. You wonder, could lullabies adapt to people? Could we build sleep songs tuned to our moods, our memories, even our regrets? Scientists on Samnara once tried to create a universal lullaby, a single tone that calms all known species. They failed, but in the attempt, they discovered something else. Most lullabies aren't about the listener, they are about the singer. The act of offering calm creates calm. The performance is the gift. You pause in front of the final station. It's silent. For now, a note explains that this lullaby only plays when someone sits completely still for 8 minutes. No movement, no sound, no eye contact. You try it, you really do, but at minute 4, you sneeze. A gentle puff of lavender mist signals the trial is over. You laugh, quietly, and move on toward the next door, this one marked with a gentle curve of soft, glowing symbols. Garden of Cradles. You step through the softly glowing archway into the Garden of Cradles, a lush, otherworldly space suspended within the vault like a secret oasis. Here, gravity feels lighter, almost playful, as if the air itself hums with the lullabies you just left behind. The garden is a sanctuary where dreams are not only preserved but nurtured, allowed to grow and ripple outward like gentle waves on a still pond. Before you stretch rows upon rows of crystalline cradles, each one delicately suspended by fine brass chains from twisting branches of a luminous tree that pulses with a slow heartbeat rhythm. The cradles cradle, no pun intended, dream orbs, not mere containers, but living gardens of possibility. Some glow faintly with soft blues and greens, others blaze quietly with golds and pinks, each one a fragile ecosystem of slumber. The air here smells faintly of jasmine and whetstone, a scent engineered to soothe and steady wandering minds. You notice the faintest shimmer of silver dust drifting lazily through the light, catching on the edges of leaves and the curves of the cradles. It's a slow dance of calm. You reach out tentatively to touch one cradle. It's warm to the touch, almost alive, responding to your presence with a gentle pulse. Within, you glimpse a flicker, a dream in motion, a child's laughter, the quiet rush of a forgotten stream. The garden is the heart of the vault's dream economy, unlike the preserved orbs locked away for study or memory. These dream gardens grow, change, and mature. Caretakers here, called dream shepherds, tend to them daily, using slow rituals of touch, sound, and light to coax the dreams forward. Their robes shimmer in nebula saffron and comet russet, embroidered with symbols that seem to shift and glow with every breath. You watch as one shepherd lifts a dream from a cradle and brings it to a delicate brass instrument resembling a wooden flute crossed with an astrolabe. Blowing softly, the shepherd releases a sequence of notes that weave into the garden's ambient melody, feeding the dream and helping it bloom brighter. The process feels sacred, like tending to something fragile but vital, a living hope preserved against cosmic chaos. You wonder if, somewhere out there, someone is dreaming the same way, their mind unknowingly linked to this garden. Nearby, a cluster of small plants hum softly. They are not ordinary plants but binaural dream vines, capable of recording dreams and playing them back in tangled, fragrant bursts of light and sound. Their tendrils glow plasma teal and curl like the delicate fingers of a child reaching for sleep. You remember reading that some cultures believe these vines are sentient, capable of dreaming themselves, and that they exchange dreams with the vault in a slow, wordless conversation. A small plaque invites visitors to place a fingertip on the dream vine, feeling the pulse of shared memories ripple beneath the skin. You do, and a warm wave of tranquility washes over you. A wordless lullaby sung by the universe itself. You pause in the garden's center beneath the glowing tree, its branches arc overhead like the ribs of an ancient, slumbering creature. Cradles sway gently, as if rocked by an invisible breeze. You close your eyes and breathe deeply. For a moment, you feel weightless, as if the garden has lifted the heaviness of your thoughts. A distant, almost imperceptible question lingers in your mind: if dreams can grow and be nurtured like plants, could the garden one day bloom into a new kind of life, something born not from flesh or machine, but from hope itself? As the gentle hum of the garden wraps around you, you prepare to move on, your mind eased but curious, ready to discover the next marvel within the celestial dream vault. You leave the garden of cradles and follow a winding corridor lined with softly glowing runes etched into the translucent stone walls. The air here feels cooler, carrying a faint metallic scent mingled with something floral, perhaps the remnants of ancient incense used in rituals long past. As you walk, you notice the walls pulse subtly, like the slow beating of a colossal heart, each beat seasoning with your own steady breath. At the corridor's end, you step into the Hall of Whispering Echoes, a vast chamber where the preserved dreams take on a new form. Suspended in midair are countless delicate orbs, each shimmering with an inner light that shifts through iridescent hues: nebula saffron, comet russet, and plasma teal among them. These are the echo streams transformed into sound and color, weaving an ethereal symphony that fills the space with gentle melodies and faint whispers. The silent keepers glide silently through the hall, their robes catching the light with subtle silver flourishes. They manipulate the orbs with graceful, deliberate movements, guiding the dream sounds into intricate patterns that ripple through the chamber like a cosmic lullaby. You realize that the echoes are not random but carefully composed, each sequence designed to soothe different emotions or inspire gentle visions. You reach out, tentatively touching one of the orbs. It hums softly, and you feel a wave of warmth and calm wash over you, memories of quiet moments from a distant past. Laughter from a forgotten friend, the gentle touch of a lover's hand. The experience is so vivid it feels almost tangible, like a soft caress against your skin. You watch as a keeper draws a brass astrolabe from their belt, its crystal lenses catching the orb's light and fracturing it into delicate rainbows. Using this tool, they read the echoes, tuning the melodies with a precision that seems both scientific and deeply mystical. Scientists on Samnara remain baffled by how the vault can transform dreams into these living soundscapes without losing their essence. Some hypothesize the process involves quantum entanglement within the bioneural matrices embedded in the crystalline stone, a form of dream alchemy that blends physics and sorcery. As the echoes swirl around you, you feel yourself drifting, carried on waves of ancient hopes and forgotten joys. You wonder if one day, humans might learn to hear the whispers of their own dreams this way, transforming inner thoughts into shared songs, a universal language beyond words. The hall's light dims gradually as the echoes slow and soften, folding you gently into silence. You breathe in the serene stillness, the final lull of the vault's dream symphony, before moving onward to your next encounter. You step softly from the Hall of Whispering Echoes into a chamber bathed in soft plasma teal light, where the atmosphere hums with a gentle vibrational energy. This is the chamber of dream weaving, where raw dreams stuff ethereal threads of hope and memory are carefully spun into new, shimmering tapestries. The walls here resemble giant spools of crystal fiber, reflecting faint glimmers like distant stars caught in webs of light. In the center, A group of somber figures moves with slow, deliberate grace, their robes in deep starlight indigo embroidered with delicate silver constellations. They are the dream weavers, artisans whose task is to braid these fleeting fragments into coherent visions that can be sent back into the world or stored for safekeeping. Their hands, clad in gloves of supple brass mesh, manipulate glowing threads that shift color, sometimes comet russet, sometimes nebula saffron, as they intertwine. You watch as one weaver pauses, plucking a strand that pulses softly with the dream of a child's laughter, then threads it alongside a shimmering thread of calm collected from a moonlit lake. The resulting tapestry glows with quiet warmth, its patterns shifting slowly like a gentle heartbeat. You catch the faint scent of ancient herbs, burned long ago to bless these works with peaceful power. Nearby, a wooden exosuit, finely carved and inlaid with crystal filaments, stands ready for those who must carry these precious dream weavings beyond the vault's walls. You imagine explorers stepping into such suits, venturing across Samnara's landscapes to share peace and hope where nightmares might threaten. Scientists remain puzzled by the mechanics of dream weaving. Some suspect it involves a rare form of bio-quantum entanglement mixed with Samnara's unique crystalline energies. Yet no one can fully replicate the process outside the vault. Could these tapestries someday become a universal language of comfort, uniting different species in a shared emotional experience? As the dream weavers continue their work, you feel yourself slipping into a tranquil reverie, your thoughts weaving gently through the silent beauty of their craft. The room's hum deepens into a lullaby of light and color, drawing you closer to the serene heart of Samnara's dream economy. You step away quietly, your mind filled with the wonder of creation itself, carrying a fragment of that peaceful magic back with you. You follow a winding corridor, its walls adorned with alchemical symbols etched in bronze and glowing faintly under the soft light of crystal lanterns, until you reach the Observatory of Silent Stars. Here, nestled under a vast glass dome that seems to float between two moons, scholars and dream cartographers gather, mapping the ever-shifting currents of Samnara's dreamscape. The observatory's instruments are unlike any terrestrial telescope, giant brass astrolabes fitted with delicate lenses made from translucent minerals, combined with wooden and crystal orreries that turn slowly, tracing invisible paths through the dream currents overhead. A lone figure clad in plasma teal robes stands beside a polished wooden console, adjusting dials with careful precision. You peer into one of the devices, and suddenly you see swirling clouds of iridescent mist, dream clouds drifting lazily across a starlit sky, like cosmic jellyfish gliding in slow motion. Each cloud pulses with emotional energy, fear, joy, longing, visible in shades of comet russet and nebula saffron. The scholar's soft murmurs blend with the hum of ancient mechanisms, creating a serene soundscape that feels like the heartbeat of the cosmos itself. Nearby, a crystal lantern flickers gently, capturing fragments of distant dreams and refracting them into delicate prisms that scatter across the room's parchment walls. You wonder how this vast network of dream currents links every living being on Samnara, and possibly beyond. Scientists speculate whether the dream currents might one day be used to communicate across interstellar distances, bridging species and worlds in silent empathy. As you watch, the lead cartographer lifts a small alchemical scroll, inscribed with symbols representing emotions and memories, and begins to trace a new constellation, a map of hope. woven from the collective unconscious. You feel a deep calm settle within you, as if you've glimpsed the very fabric of shared existence. The Observatory of Silent Stars is a sanctuary for dreamers, a place where the vastness of space meets the intimacy of inner worlds, and where you realize that even the quietest thoughts have a place in the endless dance of Samnara's dreaming nights. The soft glow of the observatory fades behind you as you step into a sprawling garden unlike any you've ever seen. The luminous grove. This is no ordinary garden, it's a living archive of Samnara's dream flora, where plants don't just grow, they hum, shimmer, and share stories. The trees here have crystalline leaves that catch the faintest light and pulse with gentle bioluminescence, their veins glowing like starlit rivers. As you wander, you notice the Drumivwal, a towering tree with branches that droop like silken curtains, each leaf a tiny dream catcher woven from natural fibers and embedded with alchemical sigils. The Drumivwal's bark ripples softly, as if breathing in the cool night air, and when you reach out, a single leaf detaches and floats toward your palm, releasing a faint lullaby carried on a breeze that smells faintly of mint and ozone. Nearby, a cluster of bulbous plants radiate soft, comet russet light. These are the memory blossoms, known to bloom only during the twin moon's eclipse. Locals say that inhaling their scent lets you relive forgotten dreams, lost loves, and distant star specks. You take a slow breath, and a gentle warmth spreads through you, a nostalgic ache tinged with peaceful acceptance. You watch as a small group of native creatures, something between plant and animal, tiptoe quietly among the roots. Their translucent skin glistens plasma teal, and they communicate through rhythmic pulses of light along their tendrils. Scientists suspect these sentient beings may form a collective consciousness, exchanging dreams through flickering bioelectric signals. Could such plant-like beings be the original dream keepers of Samnara? A quiet question lingers: if dreams can be shared through touch and light in this grove, could they also heal hearts across galaxies? You rest beneath the Drumivwal's shimmering canopy, letting the lullabies and light patterns wash over you, feeling the pulse of a living dream world breathing in time with your own calm breath. You leave the soothing embrace of the luminous grove and find yourself walking along a winding path toward the edge of a cliff, overlooking the vast dream sea, a shimmering expanse of liquid crystal that ripples under the twin moon's light. The surface reflects fragmented starlight, casting dancing patterns that resemble whispered dreams frozen in time. The air carries a salty tang, mixed with the faint scent of lavender and ancient wood. Along the shore, you spot dream fishermen, garbed in comet russet robes woven with delicate silver threads that catch the light like scattered stardust. They wield handcrafted nets made from gossamer threads of woven crystal and ancient plant fibers, designed not to catch fish but to harvest the elusive dreamfish, ethereal creatures that swim just beneath the surface of the dream sea. These fish are said to carry collective memories from distant worlds, their scales glowing softly with captured dreams. You watch in quiet awe as a fisherman casts his net with careful precision. The net glimmers, descending silently into the crystal waters, and soon surfaces shimmering with translucent dreamfish, their bodies pulsing in nebulous saffron and plasma teal hues. The fishermen hum a slow, rhythmic chant, believed to soothe the dreamfish and coax their dreams into the nets without harm. Scientists are fascinated by the dreamfish's ability to absorb and store dreams from countless civilizations. Could these creatures be living libraries, repositories of forgotten hopes and fears? Some speculate that in the future, humans might learn to communicate across galaxies by decoding these dream archives, transforming shared memories into universal languages. You sit on a smooth stone by the shore, letting the fisherman's chant and the gentle lapping of crystal waves lull you. You wonder if your own dreams could one day flow into this dream sea, joining the silent symphony of stars, memories, and quiet wonder that defines Samnara's night. The dream sea fades behind you as you trek through a gently glowing meadow of whispering grasses, each blade shimmering faintly with bioluminescent veins of starlight, indigo, and comet russet. The air hums softly with the subtle vibrations of the dream crystals scattered throughout the field, mystical stones believed to resonate with the dreams they capture, turning fleeting thoughts into lasting energy. Tiny brass mechanisms shaped like delicate dragonflies flit from crystal to crystal, their wings softly chiming like tiny bells. Nearby, a group of dream weavers, clad in robes dyed deep nebula saffron and embroidered with swirling brass constellations, sit cross-legged in concentric circles. They work quietly, weaving threads of light and shadow using slender wooden staffs topped with crystal globes. Their craft isn't fabric but the very substance of dreams, knitting together hopes and memories to create protective veils that guard villages against nightmares. You watch as a weaver lifts a fine silver thread, drawing it through the glowing web, the patterns shifting like liquid light under the moon's glow. The air feels thick with calm, the kind that seeps into your bones and slows your breath. One weaver notices you and offers a gentle smile, the faint glow of their plasma teal eyes reflecting the dream threads. Scientists wonder if dream weaving might one day be harnessed as a form of emotional therapy, a way to mend broken minds by threading comfort directly into the unconscious. Could the weaving of dreams become an art that transcends language? Reaching across species and worlds, you reach out tentatively and touch the dream veil, feeling its warmth and a subtle pulse like a heartbeat woven from peace itself. The meadow around you hums in response, a quiet lullaby sung by the woven dreams and the living grass beneath your feet. Leaving the meadow, you find yourself at the edge of a vast crystal forest, where towering crystalline trees refract the twin moon's light into kaleidoscopes of comet russet and plasma teal hues. The ground beneath you crunches softly with the sound of tiny crystalline shards, like delicate chimes ringing with every step. Here, the air carries a faint scent of mint and ozone, mingling with the subtle tang of ancient stone and alchemical herbs. Among the shimmering trunks, luminescent creatures called lullaby moths flutter silently, their wings trailing sparkling dust that drifts like liquid starlight. These moths are said to feed on forgotten lullabies, the songs sung long ago to soothe restless children, and carry their melodies across the forest to plant new dreams in the hearts of all who pass. You pause as a lullaby moth settles gently on your wrist, its wings glowing softly against your skin. The warmth radiates calm, and you find yourself humming an unfamiliar tune, one that feels both alien and deeply comforting. It's as if the moth is sharing a forgotten story, a lullaby that transcends time and space. Scientists have long debated how such creatures evolved on Samnara, theorizing that the moth's symbiotic relationship with the dream currents is a unique adaptation to the planet's unusual ecology. Could these gentle beings hold the key to a universal language of comfort, understood by all sentient life? You watch as the moth lifts off, scattering a sparkling trail that blends seamlessly into the starry sky above. For a moment, the crystal forest feels like the heart of the dream vault itself, alive with whispered lullabies and the quiet promise of peaceful sleep. As you continue through the crystal forest, the terrain gradually softens, and the towering trees give way to a tranquil lake shimmering beneath the twin moon's gentle gaze. The surface mirrors the stars perfectly, disturbed only by the slow, rhythmic pulse of bioluminescent waves lapping at the shore. Here, the dream vault's influence feels strongest, as if the entire landscape breathes with the collective memory of countless dreams stored and shared. You settle onto the cool, smooth stone at the water's edge, feeling the quiet hum of the planet's dream currents weaving through the air around you. Floating above the lake, ethereal dream bubbles rise gently, each shimmering with silvery hues and carrying faint echoes of whispered hopes and soft lullabies. The air smells faintly of mint and distant rain, grounding you even as your mind drifts freely across Samnara's starry dreamscape. Across the lake, a solitary silent keeper stands vigil, its alabaster robes flowing like liquid moonlight. Though it speaks no words, a gentle telepathic warmth radiates from the being, conveying a deep, calming presence. You sense the keeper's timeless duty to safeguard these precious memories and ensure that no dream fades before its time. Scientists remain fascinated by the vault's mysterious power, wondering if such a place could exist beyond Samnara, if perhaps every world harbors a secret archive of dreams, waiting to be uncovered. Could the preservation and sharing of dreams become a new form of cosmic empathy, connecting all beings across the stars? As your eyelids grow heavy, the hum of the dream vault and the soft lullabies of the lullaby morphs mingle in a perfect harmony, wrapping you in a cocoon of serene tranquility. You realize that though you may one day forget this place, its peaceful echo will remain deep inside you, a precious dream to carry into the darkest night. You feel the weight of your journey gently lifting as the dream currents around you slow and soften, like the closing notes of a lullaby whispered just for you. The shimmering crystal trees seem to bow in quiet farewell, their leaves rustling with a tender breeze that carries faint echoes of forgotten songs and distant laughter. The twin moon's glow fades into a gentle twilight, cradling the world in a soothing embrace that promises rest and renewal. Your breath matches the slow rhythm of the planet's heartbeat, steady and calm, as if Samnara itself breathes alongside you. Every worry, every restless thought, drifts away like a feather on a soft cosmic wind, leaving only the serene stillness of this moment. The silent keeper's presence lingers, a silent guardian of peace, reminding you that some treasures like dreams are meant to be shared, cherished, and protected. As your eyes close, you imagine the countless dream orbs floating through the vault's halls, each a shimmering testament to hope, love, and gentle wonder. You wonder if, somewhere out there, other worlds hold their own dream sanctuaries, quiet havens where the restless find calm and the lost find comfort. Tonight, you are part of that cosmic web of quiet dreams and whispered lullabies, carried softly across the stars. You carry this calm with you now, a precious gift wrapped in starlight, ready to light your way through the darkest hours. End of script. Sweet dreams.